Rightio guys, so we're here today in, well, it's not sunny Tyldesley anymore, I suppose, it's a bit miserable day. And with Jamie Burke, who's a local estate agent, we're looking at these new build houses at this moment in time. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through a few different things. So perks of new builds, why new build might be a good idea, cons of new builds, and also what to look for when you're going on property viewings as well. So we've got Jamie, he's in the building as well, it's not just me on my own, but he's in there. We're going to ask him some questions. We're going to ask him some questions about what he thinks of the market, what he's seen in the market, and also just discussing the ins and outs of the home buying process as well, and kind of what he'd like to see as an estate agent for anyone who's looking to buy, what might make him remember you a little bit more and obviously aid you in purchasing a property as well. So come with us, the sun's now out, let's go. Right, so here with Jamie, we're in this fabulous new build property, which is Redrow. It's just outside. It's technically Moseley Common, I suppose, isn't it? But
well, the postcode wise, it's Tyldesley, but as you come out the road, if you turn right, you're in Moseley Common. If you turn left, you're in Tyldesley.
So yeah.
If you go to the end of the path, you're in Astley. So,
kind of a bit of a mixed bag, I suppose. So we're going to speak to Jamie about property market at the moment, what he's seeing, and also kind of tips that you guys, buyers and first-time buyers, hopefully will be able to appreciate him giving to you. So, Jamie, walk us through the gaff. Walk us through the gaff, and how much is it on for?
Well, first of all, right, so this is known as a Marlow. It's part of the Redrow development. I've chosen this one because it's one of my favourite designs. There's a few different designs of 4-beds. As we look through it, you'll see why I've chosen it and why I like it. You've got a proper hallway. I say this on all my videos, but some of the new builds, you walk in and you're straight into a living room, which is okay, but if you can get away with having a hallway, I like that. There's an integral garage in this one as well. At the minute, it's probably move them shoes. Shall I scooch past?
It's quite, yeah. Go for it.
Yeah,
Jason.
So, at the minute, it's more usable for storage, but it's a great size. I like the fact that it's integral because then, if you were looking to convert it in the future, you're going to add value. Some of the others don't come with garages. Some of the others have got detached garages. Don't have garages at all. Some have got detached ones. What I like about this is your boiler's housed in here, so you're not taking up valuable space in your kitchen. And you've got more space for utilities. The guy who owns it now uses it as a bit of a gym as well, which is always handy.
Use it, yeah, it's good universal space, isn't it? Gym, fridge, storage. Yeah. Helps your uncle in it.
Absolutely.
Everyone uses it other than for a car now, don't they?
Yeah.
You've got your drive on the front.
Two-car drive at the front, yeah, which is always handy.
Happy days, that.
So on the other side, this is where you've got your living room.
Let's just go.
So, what I like about these ones, you have to be here to appreciate it fully, but your windows are bigger on these. I know it might sound like something that's quite something and nothing, but a lot of new builds, you get a tiny window, so they can feel quite dark, the ceilings can feel quite low. Redrow seem to have bigger doorways, taller ceilings, bigger windows.
Right.
So
is that something you've seen with compared to other builders then? So Redrow have kind of got a theme of...
I'd say Redrow are you kind of flagship of mainstream builders. There will be bigger and better and sort of more independent builders, but from my experience in this area, there's a few different ones. I won't name them all, but Redrow are the ones that I sell easier, and they can command a better price, command a better value. They just feel more quality. Yeah, that's my thoughts anyway.
Well, we were saying before. I mean, from what you've mentioned, what kind of tips would you give to anyone who's looking to purchase a new build? Or even potentially looking at buying a second-hand new build. What would you...
So second-hand new build is typically what I would sell. So it sounds crazy saying that because every house is a second-hand new build, really, isn't it? Even if it's 100 years old. But a second-hand new build, as in still within its first 10 years, so still under NHBC warranty. I like that now. I mentioned it before off camera, but it used to be the case that if you buy a new build, it's a bit like buying a car from a showroom. It'll depreciate after the first 2 or 3 years. In reality, if you buy a second-hand one, you've allowed a buyer to move in, implement their own improvements, landscape the garden, because you don't get a landscape garden with a new build, buy the freehold, add wall panelling, add tiling in the wet areas, put thicker carpets down, and basically present the house in a better light than it was when it was brand new.
Yeah.
So when you buy a second-hand one, you're benefiting from somebody doing all those things.
Yes.
But when you go to see a new build, they dress it as a show home. So you as a buyer, you fall in love with that. When you get it, you're not getting that. You're coming into an empty shell with concrete floors, unless you pay for upgraded flooring.
Yeah.
Plastered walls, unless you pay for upgraded tiling around. So this is what I mean. You get a second-hand one, and someone's done all that for you. And typically, people who are looking at new builds generally don't have the extra cash. That's why they're looking at new builds. They're not looking at projects.
Because the incentives and stuff as well that you get from the builders, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so then if you buy something that's had all them upgrades done, in this one, for example, we'll see when we go in the kitchen, he's upgraded from Lamona appliances. No offence, no offence if you've got Lamona appliances, but he's upgraded to like Smeg and AEG and the German ones where they're in there forever. The new builds are going to just put some basic stuff in. And then in 2 years, you're going to need to change your oven and change your fridge.
Which again, it's not things that you're going to be thinking about when you're buying at the time, but you're
just excited that you're getting something new.
Yes. So, yeah. You see there, little nuggets there, little nuggets. We're going through the rest of it as well now.
Yeah, show you the kitchen.
Just go through. There you go.
So again, in typical new builds now, you get a kitchen diner. That seems to be what everybody wants. The family room, the entertaining space at the back of the house.
Yeah.
During the 80s and 90s, it used to be that everyone wanted, I mean, before my time, obviously, but it used to be that everybody wanted open plan living dining space with a small pokey kitchen at the back.
Yeah.
Now it's a snug living room with a kitchen diner at the back, and that's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
So I like this style because, like I say, hallway, separate living room, kitchen diner, separate utility room as well. I'll show you as we go around. But if you have a nosy at the walls, like I was mentioning, you just, again, it might not be to everybody's taste, but you've got upgraded tiling around. These are Smeg appliances, integrated double ovens. There's dishwashers in one of them. This one, you don't get that as standard in a new build. And if you do, you're not getting Smeg appliances. The flooring is LVT, I want to say,
LVT,
rather than some basic vinyl or laminate.
Yeah. It's longer lasting, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. It's hard wearing. Another thing to point out again about the Redrows, I feel like I'm a salesman for Redrow, I'm not, is taller skirting boards. I mentioned about the taller ceilings, but these are features that are just more in keeping with a more expensive and classic home. If you go to a Victorian terrace house, you're going to see tall skirting boards and stuff like that. You go to a standard new build, a basic one, you're getting 3-inch skirts that just don't look good.
I mean, say for example, when we're coming around properties like this, like new builds and stuff, if you're a first-time buyer, what kind of advice would you give a first-time buyer that's looking to come and buy a property? What questions would you be hoping that they're asking? I think that's a big one. What would you, say you were in their shoes, what questions would you be asking? And also, what would you want to see from them to almost remember them as well? What kind of tips could you give first-time buyers for coming in and viewing properties?
So I always, obviously my job's to work for the seller typically, but at the same time, I don't get a sale unless I've got a quality buyer.
Yeah.
So unless the buyer's in a good position and ready to proceed, or at least serious.
Yes.
So whenever I meet a first-time buyer, I always like that because there's more, they're not trying to play games, most first-time buyers. It's people who've done it before and bought and sold. They seem to think they know more than me, know more than the sellers. So they try it on a little bit. First-timers, if you can be a bit more authentic and just be real when you come in. If you love the house, say you love it. If you like the house, just say, oh my God, what do I need to do? I want it. There's a fear, and the fear is that by showing your cards and saying I love the house, the estate agent's going to go, rubbing our hands together, we're going to get more out of you. I'd like to think I'm not like that. I can't speak for every estate agent, but in reality, if you come in and try and play the game and say, I don't know, this one's doing, that one's doing, I don't like the garden, don't like the area, this, that and the other, I'm going to feed that back to the seller.
Yeah.
And
it's your job, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to feed it back and I'm going to say, I don't think they like it. So then if you do come in with an offer, it'll catch me by surprise and the seller by surprise, and they'll be thinking, well, they're not that keen on it though, are they? So let's not maybe go with them. Let's go with somebody who loved it from the start.
Absolutely.
So if you come in and say, I love it, oh my God, I want it, I can speak to my mortgage advisor, he's going to prove that I've got my deposit in place, I've got my funds in place, here's my solicitor's details, get your ducks in a row, and then say, what do we need to offer? And you don't have to pay over the odds.
No.
But I'm going to feed that back to the seller. And then if there's some competing offers, I'm more inclined to encourage them to go with the one who loves the house and is serious, because they're less likely to pull out and mess me about.
Even if the offer's slightly less than a higher offer as well, potentially in some cases.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's use this as an example. Sorry, you asked me at the start, I didn't tell you. This one's on for 450k. It's not your typical first-time buyer house at this value. But if there's a 450 grand offer from somebody who's not necessarily as emotionally attached versus somebody who might offer 440, but the mum lives around the corner, the kids go to the school at the back, they grew up here, they love it, they go to the gym at the end of the road, they're less likely to mess about.
Yes.
And they're less likely to change their mind and see something else down the line. So then the seller's got a decision to make. Is that 10 grand more important to me, or is
The time frame.
and the seriousness and the likelihood of it going through?
Yes, that is such an important one. I say that quite frequently as well. Honestly, giving yourself a story, I suppose, something that Jamie and the estate agents can remember you by, but also having some kind of emotional attachment you can tell the seller. I mean, there's one time when I was previously working at the estate agents, house on Church Road.
Yeah.
Really nice one. Someone posted a letter for it. It's like a letter going on about how much they love the property, how much they love things, and they ended up selling it for 15 grand less to that person that sent them a letter.
It's nice.
Which is mad.
Yeah.
Which is mad.
It's nice. And obviously, my job as the agent is to try and get the seller the best amount of money. I keep saying that. So sometimes I have to take the emotion away and say to the seller, look, it's nice, but but listen, sellers are humans. I did an open day on a house recently in Salford on Littleton Road, 160 grand terrace house, proper first time buyer territory.
Yeah.
And the girl who went back round and give flowers to the seller afterwards is buying the house for 5 grand less than what the highest offer was. Wow. And the seller said, I want her to have it, she deserves it, she's lovely, I hope. She's lived in the house for 40 years, she wants to pass it on to somebody who's going to love the house. Yeah. So it does work.
That's mad. A bunch of flowers saved like 5 grand, isn't it? It's crazy that, isn't it? So are you seeing as well, because this is one thing when I was still at the estate agents, are you seeing a much larger demand of people wanting a utility room as well now? Is that kind of almost a non-negotiable?
Yeah. Speaking from personal experience, I've just had one built on mine. Oh. So I did work on my own house where I made an open plan kitchen diner and thought it was great, and then I have a big noisy washing machine rattling about in my kitchen, or the smell of food and what have you, or you just want to be able to at least take all that noisiness away. Have a toilet, which these come with as well downstairs, storage space, come in from the back garden, kick your shoes off, you're not straight into your kitchen, you're in a more of an area that you can shut off. So I think so. And there's a reason new builds do it. They don't just put them on for the sake of it. They'll do research and they know where the demand is.
Yes.
People want a downstairs toilet and a utility room.
That's what, especially if you've got kids and stuff as well. Yeah,
definitely. Or pets, bringing in a dog from the back garden, coming in with muddy paws there, yeah.
Keep them tucked away, keep it nice and clean and the rest of it, absolutely. Makes loads of sense.
Yeah. Storage cupboard here, probably full of junk, but feel free to open it if you want.
Nice.
And then the downstairs loo, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You happy with that one?
The emerald tiles.
Isn't it nice? Yeah. And then you've got a back door.
Is that okay?
Do you know what? We'll go out. I'll do the inside if you want.
Yeah. No, go on.
But like I say, you've got the French doors in the kitchen, but it's nice to be able to have a back door where you can just walk out from the utility rather than having to do that with your doubles. Yeah.
Well, the garden, they've done a good job on the garden. Again, that's another thing that obviously Jamie's going to talk about as well. The difference from new builds, the original garden that you might see compared to the perks that you get if someone's actually lived in it and actually decided to do it up as well. So yeah, a few different things. So upstairs we go. These carpets that came with the property, how do you reckon they've been changed, these ones?
These have definitely been upgraded. So he's upgraded the whole house. So from the paintwork to the panelling on the walls, carpets, blinds on all the windows downstairs are all fitted into the windows. What else has he done? Tiling I've mentioned in the wet areas and all that. He's got some fitted wardrobes in a master room, which I'll show you. This, I mentioned about this style of this house earlier on. So the landing area is probably my favourite bit. I mentioned it in my marketing video for this.
Yeah.
It's not a typical come upstairs, door there, door there, door there. There's a window, so it's nice and light. There's a couple of little turns, so it's not your typical boxy Lego house new build, which I refer to them as. Yeah. You've got 2 rooms to the back, 2 rooms at the front, master with an ensuite. So there's just a bit more going on.
It's got a personality, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's got a personality. It's nice and cosy. I mean, which room do you want to start in as well?
Well, the one behind you is a spare room, so it's kind of dressed for selling. Yeah. So when I came here, this was an empty room, so completely empty. So I suggested to him maybe stage it like you would see if it was being sold brand spanking. So this is all intentionally done and staged to sell. But then when I came back and took photos, it looked beautiful. And then when you see it now in the flesh, it looks beautiful. So when a viewer comes, you can imagine it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to leave this like this furniture for whoever is lucky enough to buy the house.
I found it's really good that. So a little bit of staging as well. So do you see that quite a bit? Do you advise that quite a bit as well?
I do, yeah. And it's gone full circle. So I used to be really more of an advocate of get the house empty so I can see the room sizes. in actual, and don't get me wrong, if the house is cluttered or furniture's not great, then get it out. But if you can stage it properly and make it look like a purposely designed room that's a bit classy, a bit stylish, then that works better.
Well, it helps people see what they're potentially going to be getting into.
Again, going back to the show homes like Redrow, there's a reason they stage all the homes and all the rooms, because people fall for it. People love it. I'm saying fall for it. It's not a trick. It's just letting you realise, oh my God, I can see myself living there. You sell the lifestyle.
I'm going to put myself in the mindset, I suppose, of a first-time buyer or someone who's doing viewings on properties as well, and kind of the questions that you'd wanting to be asked. But the main questions that I'd be looking to ask if I'm coming into a property would be kind of, what's the seller's situation at this moment in time? How come they're selling up?
Yeah.
And why are they looking to move quick? Are they slow? Are they a motivated seller, I suppose? That's kind of ultimately the questions that I'd be probing the estate agent to try and find out. So with this current property that we're in at this moment in time, what is the seller's situation, and what's the crack?
So again, these are all valid questions, and they're the right questions to be asking, bang on, because I can only speak from my experience as an estate agent. I won't take a property on unless the seller's motivated, first of all, because of the level of marketing that I do and the upfront involvement from myself. So if somebody's sort of approaching it more dipping a toe in the water, I'd be sort of saying, I'm not the estate agent for you. Yeah. And similarly, if you're a buyer and you ask that question and the agent's not giving you the confidence that this seller's serious, you kind of want to be careful, because you might be putting an offer in and putting all your eggs in that basket only for a seller to change their mind further down the line.
Because at the end of the day, it's expensive buying, isn't it? It's an expensive process buying, it's an expensive process selling.
And it's not just expensive, it's life-changing. This is your biggest decision you're ever going to make. You're buying a house. And as a seller, it's the biggest. You're never going to sell anything more expensive in your life. So, but some sellers are only selling to buy something. It sounds crazy. Let's say they're buying something specific that they want, so they sell theirs. But let's say they don't get that one, they could pull the plug on this. So if you're a first-time buyer, you've just had the rug pulled from underneath your feet, and you're devastated.
Yeah, so you're left out to hang, aren't you?
Yeah, so you've got to ask them questions. The situation on this one is downsizing. So the gentleman who lives here is looking to downsize. These rooms are not used. He is serious. I've had plenty of viewings and offers, but we're just not quite at that level that we need it to be at. Yeah. As a first-time buyer, if you're asking them questions, where are they at? Hopefully your agent can give you the confidence that, he's serious. He wants to be out by Christmas, January. And then you can set your own timescales. The beauty of a first-time buyer typically is you usually still living with your parents or renting. So you're not kind of, oh my God, I've got to be out by such a date. Well, and again, that's why I always encourage my sellers to go with first timers. I think it's great.
Well, I've said this for a very long time as well. Obviously, first time buyers typically, obviously when we'd be at the estate agents beforehand, and I'm sure you're exactly the same, as soon as you'd ask the position what they are, you hear first time buyer, like, right. First time buyers and cash buyers, they're top.
Yeah.
And obviously people are moving home, it's a little bit different because you just don't know the chain details, you don't know what could come up, you don't know the issue. So if you're a first time buyer, you're already in a very, very good position. It's just obviously when we saw the chaos in the market like a few years ago, cash buyers were just coming out everywhere, weren't they? So,
and they're still around at the minute, the cash buyers. And the thing with cash buyers is I think they still think that cash is king, as in, here's a brown envelope of money, can I have the house for 50 grand less? No. and what do you want us to do with that money? Like, the seller can't go and put it in, he's still got to go through a solicitor, he's still got to go through all the legal channels, and it still takes just as long, really, other than waiting for a survey or a mortgage valuation. That's a week. So I'd rather deal with a first timer, because my experience with cash buyers is
they think they know everything.
Yeah. First timers all day long. And again, if you're a first timer, though, I must stress, don't come into it blindly. You've got to have spoken to a mortgage broker. You have to have, because if you go online and just type in, I'm a first timer, let's say, this is what I earn, this is my outgoings, the computer will always say yes. And the computer will always say, this is what we can give you. And it's dead easy. In reality, a mortgage broker is going to look at the ins and outs and the intricacies of, have you got any CCJs, have you got credit cards, have you got car on file, and all of the things that you don't think to put into the computer. So you can't then go and view something blindly. Yes. You've got the info, and a broker will always get you a better deal anyway. So
absolutely, that's what we're here to do. But with at this current moment in time as well with the market, like, what are you seeing at the moment as well? I know obviously around here and where we are now, you mentioned that there is a few more properties coming up.
Yeah.
Interest rates have dropped down a little bit as well. I'm not going to bore everyone by talking about interest rates because we'll be here all day. But what are you kind of seeing at the moment? Are you seeing sellers coming onto the market you seeing more properties coming on the market? Are you seeing less? Are you seeing more buyers? Like, what are you kind of seeing at this moment in time?
There's a definite shortage of buyers at the minute.
Right, okay.
But I'm getting the same volume of houses coming on. Right. So let's just use this estate as an example. 12 months ago, I was selling them in 3 weeks after 20 viewings on the same house. Now I'm having 5 viewings and it's taking a few weeks longer.
Right.
The difference at this level, though, is, again, these are 450 grand houses. They're not going to sell overnight. And typically somebody's in a chain, they have to sell something. Yes. At the first time buyer level for our area, typically up to 250 grand, let's say. Once you go over 250, you're probably going into second time buyer territory, on average.
Yeah.
There's more first timers out there probably than ever before, I would say.
Okay.
The reason for that is, even though interest rates have gone up from 0.25% 2 years ago to 5-6% that they are now, it's still a hell of a lot more attractive and affordable than renting.
Yeah.
If you rent a 2-bed terraced house in Tyldesley,
it's nearly 900 quid now.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, 900 quid a month. If you buy a 2-bed terraced house, the typical mortgage repayments based on a 10% deposit might still be around 900 quid, but it's yours.
Yes. Yeah. That's what people will be looking at as well and weighing it up. And obviously you can buy like a 200 grand home with that as well, compared to a 2-bed, 3-bed terraced in Tyldesley, which is 160 grand as well. So it's even less bang for your buck, innit? So
yeah, more first time buyers out there, but it's your second and third time movers that have slowed down a little bit. I mean, there's an impending budget announcement again. Boring for people who aren't interested in that, but it usually has a negative impact on house prices. I think nationally it will, and it's widely expected in the industry that nationally it's going to have a negative impact. But in our area, because there's so much going on, I think we're in our own little bubble. I don't think we're going to feel a pinch. No. I think even if things drop slightly, it'll be slightly, not noticeable.
It's been mad the last few years over here, hasn't it? I mean, like you say, we've got the bush route, got everything, we've got all of it, everything that's going on as well. It's been it just seems to keep on going up, and obviously more houses are being built as well, aren't they? More planning permissions.
And as more houses get built, everybody moans, me included. I've got, it's double-edged sword for me. I moan because of traffic and what have you, but the more houses that get built, the more opportunity for me. So so it's kind of a bit of a flip of the coin for me. But at the same time, when more houses are getting built in your area, it will increase value.
Yes.
All the older houses will piggyback on the value of the new builds that come through,
and the demand that's going to come. I've always said that as well. Obviously, where my mum and my stepdad are as well on Dewberry, there's planning permission going head down. There's loads of people complaining, but I was like, well, you don't realise the implications that your house value is going to go up.
Yeah.
However, obviously, at a cost, you're probably going to lose your view of the fields and stuff as well, aren't you? So there's pros and cons to it.
There are pros and cons, and I get it. It's like, let's use your mum for example. If she's not intending on selling, then who cares what the value of her house is? She'd rather have a view. Do you know what I mean? She might feel like it in 20 years if she sells. So people who moan about it, if you're not selling, I get it. If you are thinking of selling in a few years, you should be happy because your value's going to go up.
That's it. I mean, that's quite an important one as well. So there's a little nugget for you as well. So say you're looking to purchase a property, because again, that there's a house next door to us. Just for a bit of context, where we are, there's an old coal mining shaft, and at the back of it, they've been trying to get planning for ages, and the planning's just going through. So there's always been rumours and mutters of what's going on. Next door neighbours to us, they actually sold up as soon as the planning went in, which, if you're someone who is looking to buy, and you know you're going to be moving maybe within the next 2, 5, 10 years, give or take, it could actually be a relatively decent investment opportunity, because you know the house prices are going to go up because of the demand that's going to come within the area as well. So that's a little nugget for you as well. It shouldn't make people fearful to be purchased, and it could be seen as a positive, I suppose. Is there anything you want to
bang on that? There's a woman on this estate. I've sold 3 houses for her now over the last 12 months. What she does is just keeps buying them and buying the next wave. So as a new wave of development comes through, she buys it, knowing as the next wave of houses are getting built, this one's going to go up in value. Just make 20 grand each time. Wow. Doesn't do any. Put some blinds in the windows and some nice carpets, bit of turf in the garden. 20k. It's all right if you've got the money to be able to do it, but it is an easy flip because you're not having to spend on refurbs. You're selling something that's freehold and still under an HBC warranty, which is attractive to first timers. And they've not been lived in, so they're a second-hand new build, but she hasn't lived in them.
There's no miles on the clock, is there? No miles on the clock.
Brilliant.
That's mental.
Great. I mean, there's a risk involved always, so don't just jump in doing that. But she does it, and it works.
That's not bad. That pretty hands off as well, isn't it? Yeah. Into the next.
Yeah, no.
Quite warm, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the thing
My
about
back is sweating.
So new builds, and they are ultra energy efficient, so they're at the top of the NHBC rating, EPC rating. Well, the top of a level B. You'll never see an A. I certainly haven't. But it's important that, especially in the age that we're in of energy crisis and bills and all that. So new builds, you blast the heating in the morning in something like this. Yeah.
It must be bad for summer though.
They can be, yeah. I get that. So the thing is, there's compromise. So I live in an old house, so the walls are solid.
Yeah.
But it's freezing. I mean, I have to have the heating on constantly from September to March, constant. In here, everywhere's plasterboard, which some people like, some people don't like, but in between every wall, every floorboard, every ceiling, everything is insulation. So they are ultra energy efficient, they're warmer, but you've not got big, thick, solid Victorian terrace walls.
Yeah.
What do you prefer?
Yeah. Which is quite an interesting one as well, because there's quite a lot of mortgage deals out there as well for energy efficiency as well. I know Virgin, Own New, they do loads as well, especially anything over a B, which if you say most new builds are, it'll get your interest rates right down as well. Little nugget. Into the master bedroom. As you can see, it's quite nice and airy as well, isn't it? Nice high ceilings, some fitted wardrobes as well.
Yeah, so this style again, the Marlowe, you notice that the ceilings have got a little bit of curvature to them. Not your typical, I use the term Lego house, because that's what a lot of new builds are seen as. They're just boxy. All the rooms are the same shape, same size. This style, this design. Redrow do it in a lot of them, but this particular design, again, that's why I chose it. It's just got more character.
Yes, absolutely more.
And the sellers added these in, so these have been upgrades. I talked about when you're getting it second hand rather than you walking in brand new. You're certainly not getting fitted wardrobes when you get it brand new.
Even the backboards and stuff as well, isn't it? It's just little.
Yeah, panelling. That's what everybody wants at the minute, don't they?
It's a big one at this moment in time. It was interesting as well before, because we were talking about tips for people looking to purchase as well. What's really important, not only getting your ducks in a row, so solicitors, mortgage broker, affordability, etc., but also actually understanding the area that you're looking to buy. I mean, there's a few people that I speak to on a regular basis. I mean, there's a lot of people moving from down south up to Manchester now as well. We're seeing quite a rise in that, actually. And there's a lot of people that have reached out to me anyway and said, oh, Haydn, like, what kind of sections in Manchester are you thinking and what do you recommend? And the main ones it's normally like Worsley, Urmston, Sale, like the more South Manchester actually, aren't they?
Yeah, South Manchester is always typically at the edge over North Manchester. They've historically had, that's where grammar schools are. They've had the better schooling. Just seen as the more prestigious area to live. You know, nearer to the airport, which is always a popular pull as well. Yeah. In reality, more and more people are moving to this side of Manchester now. Areas like Prestwich, Ramsbottom, Whitefield, Worsley, which is this side, Bootstown, because people are realising, well, actually, I can get what I'm getting in the south of Manchester, but for not so much half the price, but for less money.
Yeah, better value for money,
and as somebody from this area, I think it's better.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Transport links as well. I mean, we've got really good transport links that go into town as well. It takes like 20-30 minutes to get into the city centre. It is really, really good. And obviously, we've seen that demand from the developments that are coming around in the area as well. But the point that we were getting at is, and what's quite interesting to know is tips that you would give to people looking to purchase. Mentioned it before off camera, and I think it was a really, really good point. It's just understanding what it is that you're looking to buy and understanding the area. So Jamie was mentioning before that when they were looking to buy, what was it that you were...
Yeah, so when I moved, I'm in Tyldesley, so when I moved to this area, for me, I'd lived in Monton. I was there for 6 years, and prior to that, I was in the depths of Salford, so nothing fazed me anymore. But my missus was adamant, it's got to be Monton, it's got to be Urmston, it's got to be Worsley. She wanted all the little cafes on your doorstep. She wanted to be able to have a walk down the canal, this, that and the other. Yeah. I, without her knowing, sort of broadened our search and discovered Tyldesley. And to me, this was another world. It was like, Jesus Christ, where are we?
Yes, yeah.
In reality, I was over the East Lancs from Worsley. I was 2 minutes away from Swinton, and I thought, I'd never considered it. It's the best thing we ever did. And I opened her eyes to it, and I sort of said to her, look, you're getting a lot more for your money. We did our research, the schools were great. That was important to her, and me, of course, but that was her sort of bag. Yeah. For me, I just wanted... I'd come from that built-up area, and I wanted something with a bit more blue sky and more greenery. And that's what Tyldesley gave me, until all these new builds were built.
No, built. Yeah.
But I mentioned that before. But that was important to me. I want to be able to walk to a local pub.
Yes.
So I loved that the Colliers was at the top of the road. I liked that things like Gin Pit Village. I love that. I'm more about little community pubs and stuff. My missus wants to be able to walk to, like I said, go to a cafe, have some breakfast. And Tyldesley gave it us. And even more so now than it did 8-9 years ago when we moved here. So our research was based on that.
Yeah.
So if you're a first-time buyer and you're looking, what's important to you? So if you've got pets, you might want somewhere where you can let them off a lead and go and have a good run.
Good walks,
You want that. So you're not going to move to a built-up metropolitan. You're not going to go to the city centre, are you?
You're stupid.
If you've got kids that are going to be at primary school age, you need to know that the primary schools are good. So do your research on it. Don't go blindly looking to view something and then find out the schools are crap.
Too late.
Think for the future, high schools as well. So that was another thing we did. If you're into restaurants, bars, and going out and enjoying a bit of the night scene, does where you live give you that?
Yes.
So at the time, Tyldesley didn't give me that, and it does now, as you know. It didn't give me that, but because Worsley and Monton and Bootstown were 5 minutes away, we'll jump in a taxi. We'll go and do that. It's no problem. Incidentally, I'd much rather stay in Tyldesley now because the development of the area, the bars here are better and important. One thing that I mentioned before, which is massive, and I did this, and I insist that everybody does this. If you're buying a house, go and sit outside the house, not on the driveway. Sit at the end of the road at 9 o'clock on a Friday or 7 o'clock, whatever. Just go on an evening on a Friday or Saturday and have a look around at what's going on, who's in the area, what are the neighbours' houses, what's happening. Are they all having a rave? Or there's usually a row of shops I mentioned before, and sometimes there'll be a bunch of lads sat outside on bikes and what have you. Sometimes it's fine, other times they're asking for you to go in the shop for them and what have you. Listen, we've all been there, it's fine. But when I moved to this area, in Mossley Common, there's the row of shops, as you know, and I remember my missus pointing out, there's a load of lads sat outside there. So I walked in the shop, they were talking about school and drinking soft drinks and just, you couldn't, that's the sort of kid you would want. That's who I want my kids.
Harmless,
yeah, absolutely. And compared to where I'd come from, Jesus, the kids outside shops there, you wouldn't walk past them. So don't judge a book by its cover, but at the same time, just do your research, because the last thing you want to do is jump in for an house. You love it. Oh my God, this is the one for us. We love the road. And then you find out that actually there's a load of scallies or there's a load of stuff going on in the area that's perhaps not for you.
Absolutely. I think that's such a good point, that is. Because that's what I mean, loads of people will look at areas and not do the research correctly. I mean, I've seen it firsthand, obviously, you've seen it firsthand as well, where they like the idea of the area more than the actual practicality of the area, and then like 2-3 months afterwards, when they've got past the honeymoon phase of the property, they go, actually, we're about 20, 30, 40 minutes away from anything that's decent that's going on, so we want to sell up again now. Which obviously it's good for you as an estate agent, but
and it works the other way. The amount of people who've been viewing on this estate with me in particular, where they've had the heart set on Bootstown and Worsley, the M28 postcode snobbery, all this, that and the other. And I have guys come in to view with me, or families, and they're saying, we really want it to be in Ellenbrook, or we really want it to be close to Bootstown. And I have to explain and say, do you know you can walk there in 10 minutes? Or you can get in your car and be there in a minute and a half. But because you come across the border into the borough of Wigan and Tyldesley, it seems like a different world. So you sometimes just got to, like I say, I did it myself. I broadened my search horizons and then found something that was much better.
And just decompressed a bit.
Yeah. So you just sometimes don't rule something out. If you know where you want to be, just spread your search by a mile or two, and you'll find that actually, wow, this is probably more practically suitable for us than what we were looking at originally.
But like you mentioned, so it's not compromising on your non-negotiables as well. It's keeping true to them, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You want if you want to be able to walk your kids to school, it's no use looking 2-3 miles away. You need to be near the school you want to be at. If you need to be in a catchment to get the kids into that school to begin with, then there's another thing. If you're somebody, I have a lot of people who don't like driving. I was showing a lady around this morning. She said, I cannot be near the East Lancs. She said, I will not be on anywhere where I've got to drive down the East Lancs. Most of my houses are along that East Lancs corridor, so I was like, I don't think I can help you. But if she needs somewhere on a bus route, she needs somewhere on a train, like she needs somewhere where she can drive on a little back road quietly, because she don't want all this and busyness. So that's fine. But she knows what she wants. She knows what she doesn't want. So that's your non-negotiables, as you mentioned, some things you aren't going to compromise on.
Yes. Right, so we're going out into the garden. What's quite unique about this one is Jamie was just saying then as well. Is it an end plot?
Well, it's a corner plot. So it's a detached house. So Stanleyfield that we're on is actually there running down the side, and this one, well, yeah, it is on the end, on the corner. So it's got one of the bigger gardens on the plot, and with that, you're looking down in the middle of everybody else, so you've not got somebody staring in straight at the back of you.
A lot at the back of the houses instead, inside of them actually.
A lot of new build houses, a lot of new build estates rather, they kind of just put in where they can, so you've usually got a small garden, small plot, and another house staring right back in at you.
You go out, you'll see it's actually really good size as well. So I mean, is there any tips or advice that you can get? That's quite an interesting one actually to bring up, is corner plots. What's the valuation difference between a corner plot and a garden that's a little bit bigger compared to?
Yeah, there's no real difference on paper value wise. You know, if you got a mortgage lender to come out and determine the value, it's bricks, mortar, square foot of the internal space and location that's going to determine it. The garden size will have an impact if it's massive to a certain degree. Yeah, it's more about potential. Or I have some people who say, I don't want it. The garden's too big. What am I going to do with that? You know what I mean? If you're not got lads who are going to play football in it, or if you're not a keen gardener, exactly. So then, but at the same time, I always think, well, if you're getting all that garden, why not?
Right side, happy there.
Interesting. Nice and quiet. The plane's just gone.
Good timing there. We were talking before as well. A garden's quite an interesting topic for people looking to buy, because obviously some people are going to be bothered by a garden, some people aren't going to be asked about a garden as well. So again, it's understanding what you want and what your preference is. But for yourself, Jamie, what kind of tips would you give to someone who a garden would probably be a non-negotiable for someone? Is there anything that you'd be?
Yeah, so I'll speak from personal experience. For myself, when I was buying my house, garden non-negotiable for me all day long. Not so much what it is, because the one that I bought, I knew I was going to do a lot of work to it, but it was more about the position.
Yeah.
So I didn't want, or I wanted to make sure I didn't have somebody's back window there staring in at me, because you can never change that.
Yeah.
And it'll cause all sorts in the future. Secondly, I want the sun in my garden at the end of the day. Late afternoon, evening. Everybody's obsessed in this country with south-facing gardens, and I get it.
It's a buzzword though now, isn't it? It's got the branding behind it, hasn't it?
So you want the garden, you want the sun. If you're a south-facing garden, you want the sun in your back garden at midday. I'm at work at midday, and the kids are in school at midday, and everybody's busy then. I want it in my garden at 4 or 5 p.m. till it sets at 9 p.m. in the summer. So west-facing is the one, really, and that's what this is, incidentally. So south's there here, so you're going to get it all side on, but it's going to finish there, aiming in at you, sat on your patio into your house. That's when you want it. Some people are different. Some people might want the morning sun. They want a coffee in the morning, which is great, but then you're going to lose it around. So that's something for you to think about, on whatever your preference is. But like I say, for me, it's afternoon and evening sun. Not being overlooked, massive. Listen, I'm talking here, but if you're a first-time buyer, sometimes you've got to get what you're given.
You've got no choice.
You can't say I want this, I want that, I want this, but my budget's 150 grand. You're not getting it. So you've got to compromise. You like gardening, you might want something like this.
Yeah.
Loads of greenery, loads of plants, little water features. Not much maintenance by way of mowing lawns, but you're certainly going to be having to be out here with gloves on and pruning.
Yes.
If you're not into gardening, you'll see what most people do now, which is look for something that's got artificial grass, or something that you can put that down, and just a bit of flagging. It might not be as aesthetically pleasing to some people, but if
people might love the maintenance side of it.
If you're a young couple, let's say, or a young family, or just a single person, you're usually working all day. Last thing you want to do is come home and start mowing lawns and that. So I get it.
What you're finding from this video so far is it's completely up to you and your preference, but it's understand what it is that you and your family need the most. Like say, if you're a first time buyer, you're looking to buy, it's a couple, you've got a budget of say like 200 and 250 grand, you've also got to be realistic in what it is that you're going to be looking to purchase, because you're not going to be buying a 4-bedroom detached property, you know what I mean? You just got to weigh up what it is that you want, what your non-negotiables are, potentially what your future plans might be as well, which again they'll also aid you when it comes to your interest rates. Are you going to be looking at a 2-year fixed? Are you going to be looking at a 5-year fixed? It depends on your circumstances. Another important thing to take into consideration as well is I was speaking to a couple the other day, shout out Albert and Roxanne if you're watching. They were going viewing a few properties. Now they were a little bit sceptical over purchasing at the certain time that they wanted to purchase a little bit later. They wanted to leave it maybe towards the back end of the year or the beginning after the new year, which I mean, as an estate agent as well, you normally see a bit of a jump up after the new year as well, don't you?
Yeah. So there's a in January, January a lot happens, and there's various reasons for it. There's a lot of houses come to the market at the end of January. There's people who stay together for Christmas. So you get your separations in January. Now, which is listen, it's what can we do? But so more houses come to the market. Then there are still buyers out there in December, but less houses available.
Yes.
But your new year is when you're going to get a surge in activity. So if you are waiting to the new year, or if you are thinking, it might be wise to think, you know what, I'll wait till January because you're going to have more choice as a buyer.
Yeah. Which again, it gives you more flexibility. More flexibility gives you more options. More options gives you a better chance of getting the house that you want. There you go. So what I was getting at before when I was mentioning Albert and Roxanne is they were hesitant at purchasing. I said to them originally, all right, let's work out your affordability. Let's get your ducks in a row, as Jamie mentioned before, which is also good for an estate agent. So they were going in, having an idea of what they could afford and roughly what it is that they wanted. And I just advised them, I said, look, just go on viewings, go and look at your property, because at the same time, even if you're not in a position to buy, plane going overhead, if you're not in a position to buy, I also think it is actually good to get the experience of viewing properties as well under your belt, so you know what you're looking for. You might see little snags and little things that you've never noticed before until you've built up that experience of going viewing properties. And they said to me, I think they went on like six to eight viewings one weekend, and they had 3 that were the top of the list, or so they thought. And the one that they went and viewed was actually the 8th one, the final one, was the one that they didn't even remember, didn't even bother about, weren't even at the top of the priority list. And that's the one that they actually put an offer in for as well. So when we were speaking to them about it, they were just saying we went in, the pictures didn't do it justice. It had so much character that you couldn't actually see from the photos as well. But then viewing the property actually allowed them to open their eyes to it and actually go ahead and buy the property, not just going off the photo, which I think is quite an important one, because there is some estate agents. I know Jamie's not one of them, because he does take his marketing and his branding. He really does do really good high quality photos and videos, but some estate agents are quite lazy and they're not going to put a lot of money or a lot of emphasis into, I know, calling them out there.
I know, you're right to do it. Listen, I've been, when I was employed, I worked at firms where you send a Saturday staff out who's never been in the house before, give them a camera that they don't know how to work, and they just go bung, 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 and they go online, them photos, for somebody's biggest asset ever. It's criminal.
It is. They'll still charge full whack as well.
Oh, yeah. Or they'll go with a camera that's got a big fisheye lens that makes the room look like that, like a corridor when it's a box bedroom, and you go in and go, hold on a minute, this weren't right. Yeah. Or the editing. So the etiquette in the industry is, let's say there's a house that's got a pylon behind it, or an industrial unit behind it. So we take a picture there and not show you that. Well, all that's going to happen is they're going to turn up and see it. So show it in the picture. Just come on.
Just be transparent.
Yeah. So, but
that's what I mean. It's saving you time at the end of the day.
Of course it is. Saving us time, saving the sellers from tidying up every day, saving the viewer who turns up and rings you before they've even come through the door and gone, turn around, I don't like it. just seeing that wagon unit storage behind the house, no point.
Seen kids knocking out outside talking about school and stuff as well. Yeah, it's like, no, I don't want none of that, no part of that. But yeah, I hope it's been helpful. So kind of what we're getting at from this so far in speaking to Jamie, I mean, Jamie's been a massive help. The fact that he allowed us into this property as well and showed it. But we're going to be doing more. Hopefully Jamie a little bit more if he wants to speak to us more as well. Just gaining some more tips and market insight. And you can look at what you're doing to try and get yourself on the property ladder as well. Jamie was also mentioning before his take purchasing a property is quite just getting yourself on the ladder, really, isn't it? And getting yourself prepared. And
yeah, I'm not saying just go and buy anything, but so much better to be on the property than to continue down the rental path, or to just be not having your name to owning something. I just think it's so important. So even you can't be too picky and choosy as a first time buyer. I wasn't, and I'm sure you wasn't, and I'm sure everybody isn't when they buy properties. You just got to just get something, and don't get me wrong, don't go buy something that's falling down. It needs new boilers and electrics and everything, but better to be in a 2-bed flat or a 2-bed terraced house that you can make your own and improve the kitchen and bathroom over time than to be paying a landlord's mortgage for him.
Yeah, and ultimately. A bit of profit and his holiday for him.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. It's an interesting take, but I hope you've enjoyed. There's going to be some more videos coming out soon as well. Make sure you follow for some more property buying tips and updates as well. Ta!